Hey everyone, this is Rangadad, not financial advice. This is just the way I'm looking at the market, my daily market scan. Well, it hasn't been a daily video lately, but I still watch the market, obviously. Um, and yeah, hopefully you guys watch a few others as well, because realistically, I watch other guys, how they're looking at the market, and I have my own ways of looking at the market, and I kind of combine everything and uh, develop a general sense for where things are going, and then I actually trade more on the 15-minute and the 1 hour. So anything I say here is just literally a snapshot in time. Price action can change everything in a heartbeat. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. Haven't mentioned that in a little while. Let's get into it. Got a fair bit of large action at the top of this run so far. There is another ETF, Bitcoin ETF, where I think the number one largest trade happened yesterday. Right at the tops, and like the number two was at the bottom of this one, and the biggest trades on that particular fund, I can't remember which one it was. Look at FX Evolution's video from today. Yeah, there's basically a fair bit of profit taking here, and we'll come to it in a minute, but it's at a very interesting level. Another interesting thing is we actually pretty well pulled back from the Bitcoin mining break-even point. Don't know if that's actually relevant or not, but just interesting. The one thing that I've got in the back of my mind, and I'm never really one to use sentiment as an actual trading tool. It's more something that can give me a bias or help with a bias. The fact that this is so far different and smart money actually hasn't started to come down yet suggests we could keep going up. The issue with that I have is how smart is smart money, and we just don't know how often these guys are actually right. Typically they will start selling as things start to rise, but as you can see here, smart money dipped and the price went down. So they're not, this indicator isn't 100% accurate all the time, but I've never seen it this high on smart money, especially compared to dumb money. And we did bounce there, fair enough, that was a good bounce from there. But it concerns me a little bit that we still might have a bit further down to come soon. But as I said yesterday or the day before, whenever I did the last video, I do think there was a couple of days up left. It's just whether or not Bitcoin has hit that yet. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on this today, but big dark pool activity too. Like it's actually dark pool trades. It's not just big trades on the lit exchanges. It is dark pools. So I think some of the big guys are starting to take a bit of profit. Could be buying as well though. It's a bit sus that the 10th largest trade has happened after the run up. Coinbase as well got a decent sized trade yesterday at the close, and it looks like there's some profit taking along the top here. Same with Marathon. Same with the 2x long Coinbase ETF. Couple of decent trades at the top here, like nothing that's breaking records or anything, but a lot of trade clusters here as well. Typically that's a good, at least temporary top sign. XLP, I don't know what happened on the exchanges for some of these ETFs yesterday, but there's some weird action on this graph. But yeah, XLP kind of sideways still. XLY, so consumer discretionary was up. It doesn't really look like it's holding there though. But the good thing is it suggests potentially a bit more upside today, is we haven't seen any big trades on it at the highs here. So, and all the clustering was at the bottom here. So I still think we've probably got another day or so up. Oh, happy Anzac Day for tomorrow for the Aussies and New Zealanders too. I won't be on tomorrow. I've got to pack to go back to Thailand. XLF, so financial's got a big trade at the bottom too, which is don't know what to make of that yet. Yeah, I'm not going to call anything based on that. The thing that sort of helped me take profit and do some shorting today and last night was looking at the spot CBD. So massive profit taking on spot. I just mentioned to someone that there's actually a really good setup happening at the moment, which I'll get into in a bit, which involves gold still coming down and Bitcoin going up. And we have hit a pretty critical level on Bitcoin with this bounce point here. But the fact that spot has just, people have been selling through this whole area. I need to see this actually bounce. I think at the moment, as I said the other day, this is a futures-led rally. This is not supported by huge spot CBD. So, and that's, there might be people buying spot, but there's more people selling on spot than there is buying. So that's not a good sign. We want to see that really turn around before I confirm we've got another leg up happening. So that's a key one to watch, I think, in the next day or so. Looking at the weekly liquidation heat map, another thing that concerns me that we may not actually push even to the 96 level that I was talking about. We're just not seeing comparatively big short liquidation levels. So there hasn't been that many people shorting the market at the top here. That is going to make it a little hard for Bitcoin to actually push a bit higher. And there's a lot of liquidity below to come into. So still kind of like a sweep up into that 96 too, just a quick one, maybe today even on the US time zone. But I don't know that it'll go much further than that. We're just not seeing that much liquidity come in. Like when we had the top, when we were coming up into new all-time highs and hitting tops and stuff like that, we actually saw big amounts of liquidity sort of coming in as we were going up. There is a lot above still, so don't get me wrong. It's just, do we go into that now or do we have more of a rest? And at the moment, I'm still kind of leaning a little bit towards more upside. It's a tricky one, though. I don't think it'll last long if we do. Full disclosure, I've actually got a short running at the moment from the last little peak about 40 minutes ago. From about 92,550. But I've got that as closing at about a bit over 92k and change, just because there's a little, it's a 200 EMA on the 15-minute sitting there, and it's a bit past the bottom of the 25 period. One standard deviation Bollinger Bands, so taking some little scalpy trades at the moment. I actually longed into that same level from the 200 EMA, but not willing to commit anything big to big moves at the moment, because there's a few key levels we look at. In the 48 hours, so the 2-day, there is a fair chunk down here at 89.2. That's going to be a key level if we do keep pulling back a bit. There is a chance that we do sort of double bottom here a bit and then come back up and probably sweep that 96,200. But at the moment, you know, you got to be thinking that it's not a guarantee that we'll go up from here. Alright, I'll get rid of that. This has been pretty fun. Actually, I want to check gold. See, gold's actually moving up. I mentioned the other day on the video that if gold starts pulling back, Bitcoin's likely to run, and that is what happened. Check out the FX Evolution videos from the last couple of days if you want to find out the relationship there. But yeah, if gold actually breaks back above and confirms above the 50 EMA on the 1 hour, I'll probably flip that and actually go back long, just into these vector candle recoveries. And there is a vector candle recovery right at the high there as well. So I don't know whether that will happen. There's plenty of targets below, but yeah, this has been a fun little month. I missed the start of it. I've only had 18 trading days, but it's been pretty good. This HK50, I'm actually looking at just literally a gap close on that, up into this gap here. Where were we? So, looks like that indicator is suggesting still not switched around yet. One thing I did want to point out was BTC USD longs. So we've started having a lot of profit taking on the longs. That typically can happen, like, and we can still keep running up from there, but it's just that kind of marks pretty close to when you're going to start to get a pullback. Whether we actually get much dip buying from these guys or not will kind of tell us whether we've hit the peak or not, I think. Like here, you sort of got a bit of a pullback and then you had a bit of buying, went up some more, big profit taking, bit of buying, went up some more, big profit taking, you know. And then once it got up into here, you didn't see this thing really bounce at all, even through the highs. So this can keep coming down while we keep going up, and it probably will. But yeah, at the moment, this is a sign that we've started the last run up, I would say. Which does suggest there's a little bit more to come too. So just keep that in mind as well. Where's my... Okay, so the reason why I bought the dip here was because we've got pretty... Like, this is the bottom of the channel that we were looking at as a bear flag previously. And it's been hit a couple extra times since then. And we did actually pause before we broke through it on the way up. So it is confirmed as a pretty important line. And if you extend it out, it went through basically that. intersection, and the intersection between that and the value area low, and this is the value area low from basically since before that last leg up. Like that's a pretty massive confluence level for me and what I look at. Plus, you actually had the 1 hour 50 EMA coming up underneath it as well. So as soon as I saw a big volume candle that actually closed back above the 50 EMA and sort of tested this area, I was pretty confident there was at least going to be a long up into the other moving averages there, and I think didn't quite hit the 50 EMA on the 15-minute, but so anyway, starting to pull back now. This is a pretty nasty looking hourly candle. To me, this is starting to look like continuation, and I may even probably take a little bit of profit off the table once it hits back down into here, into the 50 EMA, just because I have a feeling it may actually bounce from there. But just because stochastic momentum is sort of in a pretty critical level, we could flip. If that stochastic momentum flips and crosses and is back in that bearish control zone, then another leg down is on the cards. Problem is, if we break this level, I don't really see anything stopping until we hit the 800 EMA. Is that no, that's the 200 EMA. Sorry, really need to change these colors. I use certain colors on a different chart, so that should help me actually identify these. Don't really use that one, so get rid of it. So yeah, that did that even change? What the? Oh man, that's annoying. Why is that not changing? Change it there too. Alright, that's a shit indicator. It's making you do that twice. Anyway. Oops. Sorry, shouldn't do this while I'm talking to you guys, but it is what it is. That important, that less important. Alright, that'll hopefully help me not get confused next time. Anyway, that's a retest of the faster moving averages there, and it doesn't look great. So that's sort of where it's at for me. Now, it is kind of looking like it's going to play out this lap line here, which I must have done it on a higher time frame or something, probably a daily. Yeah. But that is still possible. Given that we broke through so hard on this and we are pulling back on the daily close above the value area low, I think should actually lead to a little bit more upside. If we spike up during the day, we hit that and then pull back down, I'd be less inclined to suggest more upside. At the moment, stochastic momentum on the daily is quite high as well. Now it can stay up there in this bullish control zone for a little bit. Volatility is still high, so I'm expecting a little bit of vol to come through in the US session because there has been at bugger all volume today. So it's really hard to get a read off what has happened today. At the moment, it just looks like a retest of the value area low and this trend line. If the volume comes in during the US session and we actually close the daily below the value area low, then I'd actually suggest that we probably hit the top for this run. The other thing we've got to be mindful of is the old total versus stablecoin market cap. And yes, it does look like if you were to look at I don't have it anymore. But a lot of people are looking at the USDT dominance chart or total crypto market cap versus USDT or USDC or whatever. It gives a different answer. It shows there is a breakout. You don't get the same bull market support line that we've had through here. And I just think that this gives a much more tradable chart, and at the moment we're rejecting off that bull market support line. Could we just be coming back into this moving average here, the 50 on the daily? Certainly could. So I'll move back into that and then a bounce and a try again. I still think we're going to find some pretty heavy resistance in this area, probably somewhere in that region. But at this stage, you've got to look at that as a failed attempt to break through into another bull run. At the moment, that's what it's looking like. Sort of, I guess, confirmation that it's a failure. If we break below this trend line here and confirm, so a possibility that I'm entertaining at the moment is we sort of work our way down here, break below, pull up, confirm confluence with the horizontal support, resistance, and the trend line there, and then we continue to the downside. And at that point, I would suspect there's something more structurally wrong with the market, and everything is likely to be falling except probably gold or a few other things. At this stage, though, test of that 50 will be important, and then from there, if we bounce again, then I'm looking for another leg up, at least into this resistance level. I think that'll be fairly important. Oops. And then obviously this trend line through here would be the next one, which is actually probably a better confluence for the top of this cycle. One, you got a bit more vector candle recovery in here, and you got the 200 EMA on the daily sitting there. So a quick sort of day up, day back, day up, within a week, if that switches around in that area, then that's probably the top. If it doesn't, if we retest the support line here and we move away, then bull market's back on, especially if we break whatever level we stop at and pull back from. That would be confirmation that we got another bull run. Now, Jason, I don't remember his last name, Aussie dude, does some YouTube stuff as well. His indicators are suggesting that there could be some more upside to come here as well. The only thing is, when you're technically in a bear market, some of those sort of momentum plays do break. I've got to be wary of that. So, look, like always, there's a play either way, but at this stage, I'm still kind of leaning for at least one more play up into this area. Not quite right yet based on what I'm seeing here, but I didn't close that trade, did I? Must have. Oh, dang. The bastards. They swiped my stop loss and then moved back down. I was just about to shift that into profit too. Oh. Yeah, it'd be an interesting close in about 4 minutes. Could be putting in a little higher low on the 15-minute. 1 hour still doesn't look great, but anyway. The other thing is, Solana for me has kind of actually been leading the way a little bit on Bitcoin. hitting some more technical levels that show continuation. Now, this Bollinger Band here, the blue stepped line, that is the 4-hour Bollinger Band. As soon as we broke back inside, bounced off the 50, but basically retested the Bollinger Band and moved away. That's a typical play that I use to actually trade a short. Basically trade the bounce from the Bollinger Band and trade it at least back into the mid band normally. And the fact that we've just sort of broken below the 50, retested it, moved away again, that's not a good sign. That's typically going to see continuation to the downside, possibly into this mid band level, about 143. Could keep going though. Yeah. Over the next day, 141 on Solana would be a key level. I think this 200 EMA on the 1 hour is probably going to move up into there pretty close. So yeah, 137 is the bottom side of the Bollinger Band. I don't know that it'll get there. If we're going to keep going on a bit more of a bull run, like another leg up, you'd probably expect to see a turnaround at about that 143 mark on Solana. But the directions are getting less clear at the moment. With this pullback, we need to see a bit of a turnaround at a key level. LTC kind of did the same thing as Solana, whereas Bitcoin hasn't necessarily done the same thing. Calculate. So at the moment, we're actually just testing the 4-hour Bollinger Band from the underside. And we are below the 13 EMA, which is a pretty decent direction indicator for me. It was just a bounce off that 50 EMA in the 1 hour was solid. It's just the next 2 or 3 hours are going to be pretty critical for this, especially when I'm not a big MACD fan, but this particular institutional MACD, the Z-Score edition, has been kind of useful, I guess, in just some confluence stuff. More so looking for it when it crosses back across 1. I haven't calibrated or anything though, but just using it for a bit of confluence at the moment. All my other indicators are quite squarely pointing to the downside at the moment. On the 1 hour. Now, 15 minute is actually a little bit of a different story. If the 15 minute can actually break above the 50 EMA here, that would probably break us above it'd break us back inside the 1 hour Bollinger Band, and it would break us back above the 4 hour Bollinger Band as well. So it's a lot of ifs there, but momentum is still kind of just to the upside, and there is a bit more to go on a lot of the indicators that I'm looking at. So that is a distinct possibility, but then you've got to be cautious around what's going to happen around 93.5. That's probably going to be a fairly key level, but if the US market goes well tonight, then it's certainly something that Bitcoin could push that 96k level. And potentially higher. Ugh, okay. Just a quick look at the others. I'm just going to do equal weights. So equal weight, it's just tidied up those vector candles at the moment. There has been some big trades come through the stock market at the highs through here as well. So we've got to be a bit careful. Equal weight SPX has recovered that vector candle. Still a potential for a little bit further up into these moving averages. Same thing on the actual futures market. Haven't really retested these levels. They don't have to test them yet, but if this is going to be a proper V-shaped recovery, then you'd expect it to be testing and breaking these fairly quickly from here. I'm not seeing a lot of big buys coming through to actually make that happen. IWM, same sort of thing. It's got a lot of work to do. We don't have a clear upside confirmation yet on the markets. It's interesting that basically rejected off the top of that channel. XLY, XLP does look like it wants to actually confirm above the 13 EMA, which if it does could lead to a bit more upside, which would support the theory of the market having a bit more of a move up before coming down, and momentum is shifting as well. It's certainly, with BBWP coming down, we do have global liquidity still trending to the upside as well, which again, that should generally support the market moving up. But yeah, with stochastic momentum so low, there is room to move up. It's just with BBWP coming back, if it's a slow move up, I would expect rejection from these moving averages, which will mean further downside. And we are back below that key resistance level again, but finding support on the 13 EMA at the moment on XLP versus SPY. So no real clear direction there, but if we actually start to bounce on this, then markets will probably pull back again. Equal weight, similar story. Looks like it's confirming or trying to confirm above the 13 EMA on equal weight XLY, XLP, and same deal on the XLP versus SPY. So this area here is the target and would suggest that we're going further down on the market. But at the moment, yeah, I still think we could pull back a little bit more, back into the 200 and the 50 EMA on the daily, which should see stocks rise, and Bitcoin will probably do the same. KRE, XLF, oh, that got very close to its trend line, and it wasn't quite a gap fill, but it was bloody close. Oh no, sorry, gap fill would be all the way up to the 200 EMA. So look for that trade, move up into the 200 EMA and then rejection from there. That could be all she wrote for regional banking. And banks are bracing for lower rates at the moment as well, according to earnings, which would generally mean lower rates generally means a shittier economy. ITB, again, it's kind of, yeah, it's retesting that 13 EMA, but it's trending to the upside. That's not a bad thing, but just got to watch retests of these trend lines and EMAs. Home builders, same sort of deal. It did get rejected back below that trend line, but a strong day on that should put it back above this trend line here. which would suggest a bit more upside to come as well. This thing's been beaten down so hard that a bit more of a bounce shouldn't really be surprising. DJI Gold, yeah, got rejected from there. It doesn't look great, but it's coming off a pretty major bottom if it is bottoming at the moment. So just again, no real clear direction from those relationships. VIX is kind of hovering. Could go up again at any minute. Skew did tick up yesterday a little bit, so that's not a bad sign. Still an area where a bounce has happened before, but not really a convincing move to the upside on skew. And VIX 1 day. Oh, excuse me. VIX 1 day is actually moving to the upside, which typically means stocks are going to come down. But stocks were kind of down after the early rally yesterday. So it'd be interesting to track this one once the market's open. DAX. Oh. DAX is trying to confirm above the 50 there. Break below that and it could be nasty, but it'd be interesting to see DAX fill some of these gaps, particularly that gap there. If the DAX reaches that and then breaks away to the downside, it'll be another pretty decent indication that the pullback is not over yet. But that is a key resistance level there as well in red. So it's a tough slog getting through these, and you never really know when things are going to pull back. Like this could literally just be a short squeeze this last part of the run. Interesting rejection level for the UK 100 though. Recovered this vector candle, hasn't really recovered this one yet. But yeah, it's again getting close to sort of key levels where you would expect to pull back. Oh, sorry. TLT I want to have a look at because it looks kind of like it wants to base here. Stochastic momentum's trending up. TLT moving up would likely coincide with the market coming down. Which, yeah. Wow, high yield bonds. It's a massive rejection of the 200 EMA there. I mean, it's hard to look at that and go, more upside, please. Yeah, LQDIF's kind of rejecting that previous trend line as well, but closing above the 13 EMA, so I don't have confirmation either way there yet. I think it's just going to be choppy on the daily in particular. There are some good trades on the shorter time frames on pretty much everything. But yeah, copper moving up, Dr. Copper, that could be a good sign that, again, another couple of days up is on the cards. Gold, bit of a bounce here. I don't think this is it, but gold going up is probably going to mean Bitcoin coming down, I would think. But Bitcoin's just moving up to test the 15-minute 50 EMA. Just have a quick look at that. So that's not a bad looking bounce at the moment on the 1 hour. But we've just got a lot of resistance here. Might actually try and short it again from here if we reject off the 15-minute 50, or even the 1 hour 13 EMA, and the Bollinger Band there from the 4 hour is kind of a rejection off that level. I would suggest we're going to probably break through the 50 EMA. But this is a good setup. If gold starts to pull back and we do actually break to the upside here, that would be a good setup for a 96 run. And potentially a bit higher too. Is that a base case? Not really. Might actually just close that one. Talking here because it's not. Probably should have kept it, but I'll keep the Sol one instead. All right. Sorry. Oh, the other thing for Confluence was the CPR pivot lines. So that was a perfect test of the CPR pivot, and then a move away from it. Doesn't mean we're going to break to new highs or anything. The pivots are obviously fairly constrained this month compared to previous months, so that's an interesting consideration. But yeah, we have, in general, once the cyclic RSI starts coming down from these highs where you've got the bottom band above the 50, there's typically more downside to come. Typically, not all the time, but commonly. At least it's making a new high, but it's I don't need something like this to happen here, where we just go sideways for a bit. Hopefully not an entire week. So these are the weekly pivots, but just have a quick look at traders' reality as well. So psychological high, we're well above the psychological high, we're well above last week's high. Yeah. At the moment, bit of a coin flip, need a bit more confirmation from BTC that it is going to go back up and test the 96 plus levels. At the moment though, it looks like that bull market support line on the total versus stablecoins is a key level. Silver's actually potential buy here. Getting close to one anyway, I think. Maybe wait for the next pullback on stochastic momentum and then buy in, but anyway. Oil's kind of in no man's land. Everything's kind of waiting for tariff stuff, I think. Really, for Ali Peters out as traders try to grasp Trump's U-turns. Yeah, that's kind of what's happening, but not really. The money flow governs, and yeah, Dixie breaks back up to recover this vector or higher. cover these vectors, that would see a pretty major downturn on a lot of things. Can't say that it's going to happen at the moment either, but momentum is kind of pointing that way at the moment. Just haven't confirmed that really. A move outside of the bearish control zone would pretty well confirm they're going to get a decent leg up. Japanese yen, yeah. Euro. All kind of just inside candles today. It seems like they're waiting for something. I don't know exactly what. Probably should try and find out, but the charts will tell me eventually. Normally watch the charts, and then when something big happens, I just watch the news to find out what the story is being told that caused it. Apple, yeah. Everything's kind of, this earnings season's been wild. Like Tesla missed their projections and sales are down massively, or profits are down massively, sorry. And yet they still rallied, so markets are fun. Nvidia and Google are going to be the important ones. Google, I think it's after the close today, yeah. That'll be an important one. Market's kind of undecided on that at the moment. Microsoft next week. Okay. Yeah. Apple rejecting off a pretty key trend line there. I do expect these gaps to fill in the next few months though too, so any further pullback could just be a sort of a double bottoming kind of one last flush out of all the longs before grinding a bit higher. But there's no guarantee of that as well. These are all just the things you kind of got to keep in mind when you're watching charts. Helps you actually get a decent bias. ASX 200, getting close to the 200 EMA. That would wipe out a few stop losses here if it did push up into that today. If we break above that and reconfirm, then there's some juicy vector candles up here, and I'd suggest the rest of the markets around the world are going to be done the same if that's the case. So yeah, that's about it today. Kind of tricky. Looks like today's basically a pullback day. Little short scalpy trades for me today. Realistically, if you're going to go bull, if we break above 13 EMA here on the 1 hour and retest and confirm, then that's a fair sign that 96.2 is 96.3-ish to my take profit is set at a bit below 96 just to be sure. But yeah, that's what you're looking for. Breaks below that and you're probably going to be coming back down into the 88.5, maybe 89-ish. Should coincide roughly with this trend line. But for the time being, we are above the 50 EMA on that as well. So it can be more helpful. So Bitcoin's definitely going to do this, but that's what I'm looking at the moment. You've got to be you got to still be 1 foot out the door, just with a rejection from that bull market support line. It's a pretty clear rejection too. We look at that on the weekly even. It did actually retest on the weekly already, and we are testing it again on the weekly. another rejection off that on the weekly, and that's pretty well game over. It's pretty confident in saying that. Like, this is what happened in the last bear markets, start of the last bear markets. Basically, weekly rejections of the key trend lines. Anyway, hopefully that's been useful for you guys. That's been useful to me. It's actually shorter term. It's flipped me more bearish, which I missed that fucking entry because I'm talking on here, but yeah, that's what I'm going to be interested to see what happens around a retest of this level, but particularly a retest of this trend line. If and when that happens. All right.